This was a huge transfer window for both Celtic and Rangers. Celtic obviously straight into the Champions League group stages with automatic qualification, with Rangers having to try and fight their way through the qualifiers to try and get in there. And if they were unsuccessful, they'd have to just try and win the league next year to try and get in automatically or do the qualifiers again. And with Celtic, it's been more a case of building on a position of strength and try and reinforce the team and try and lift it to that Champions League level. Over the course of the summer, there's been a lot of twists and turns, a lot of incomings and outgoings, and I want to do a wee video today thinking about who won the transfer window, Celtic or Rangers. I'll be as impartial as I possibly can, and I hope we have a wee bit of fun with this. But yeah, at any point in the video, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet and all that good stuff. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, the Rangers squad at the end of last season looked something like this, give or take. Blue team being probably the one that started more often than not, and the red being the kind of squad depth. And overall, like, the Rangers team is really, for me, overperformed for a very, very long time. And it does feel like guys like Raskin and Cantwell, when they both came in, and I think it was the January transfer window, I might be mistaken, but when they both came in, I thought, you know what, Rangers are actually trying to really push the quality of their team up here. And these are guys that have a real kind of pedigree at a top end of, football. Raskin, very high level Belgian youth international. Cantwell, decent amount of credible Premier League exposure. And good on them for trying to, fish in those waters now and move away from, some of the other players that have been kind of picking up in recent times. But as you can see, this whole squad just feels like it was filled with problems and bit part players, guys that turn up when they feel like it, guys that turn up when they need a contract. They never turn up against us, really, to be honest with you. And over the summer, we've seen Morelos go, Cholak go, Kent go, Sakala go, Arfield go, Hadji, I'm sure, has went, Helander gone, McGregor gone. So there's been a lot of outgoings. They had Malik Tillman on loan last year. Obviously, they weren't able to do anything with that, but that was all gone. And for the guys they sold, Glenn Kamara to Leeds, Sakala, etc., they look to clip around the kind of 12, 13 million pound mark, so they've brought in a decent amount of wedge there to maybe go out and push the boat out and fill these gaps. I think Butland at goalkeeper was a very swift move that they made, and I think bang for buck wise for Rangers, I don't think they could have signed a better goalkeeper. And coming into the derby match, I know we came out with a 1-0 win, but seeing Butland in the game was one of the things I was maybe worried about. Maybe he would have had a very good performance that would marry up with why the guy was so highly touted when he was younger. I think he did okay in the game, but he definitely didn't, stand up in that kind of sense. And then they've went out and they've shopped in that kind of market, bottom end Championship, top end League One kind of standard, and brought in guys like Balogun, Sterling, Dowell, and Dessers. Which, in the Scottish League, you'll probably get good bang for buck out of guys like that, just to fill your squad out and just make sure that if you did lose any of your key players, you're not going to lose too much of a level domestically. I think considering they lost Kent and Morelos, two guys that have been big talisman for them, I think the acquisition of Danilo was actually a really good move for them. They spent 6.3 million euros to make it happen, and I don't know why it's not happened. Maybe the guy isn't actually that good a player, but he's got a very good track record at Ajax, Feyenoord, doing very well in Holland. But signing him alongside Dessers and Lammers just doesn't feel like it marries up. These guys are not of the same level, in my opinion. And then, like all Scottish clubs do, you've got to bring in a wee loan once in a while just to add that extra bit of quality into the team. And, maybe you can get something high value on a loan that's much more affordable for you. And I think Sima coming in from Brighton, again, has got a very good profile and a really good move from Rangers to bring him in on loan. And the signing they made that I was probably the most worried about in terms of a Celtic versus Rangers situation, Jose Cifuentes, hasn't really hit the ground running, and don't really know what's happening with him either. But again, you'd think on paper, very good profile, a decent price tag as well. 1.4 million to make the transfer happen in this window. So overall, as the window kind of rolled through and this Rangers squad has kind of fleshed out, I thought, wow, they probably did some pretty decent business here with the likes of Cifuentes and Danilo and Butland, for example. And that could really make the difference, for the league title this year and maybe how well they'll do in Europe. Obviously, for the Champions League, that's not happened at all, and it feels like that's really backfired. They've spent money in the summer to try and maybe push the qualifiers to get into the group stages, and alas, it was just, a step too far they could not make. Europa League it will be. But I feel this Rangers team is better than what they had at the end of last season. I think I would probably say it is. Selling 12 players for 16 million and signing 16 players at 13 million on the balance of numbers and scale, and I think actual quality of what's in their squad, I think Rangers have had a pretty good window. I don't think overall the level of their team has really drastically changed, but I think it's a more rounded unit. They've got more options in attack. And a lot of their guys seem quite similar to one another in terms of profile and how they might not work. I've not assigned first team and whatever for the forward line, so I don't really know really who is nailed on in that forward line besides Dessers, and I know Danilo isn't. So the big money signings, Danilo and Cifuentes, don't seem to be working out already yet, but I think they've done okay this window. When it comes to Celtic, we've sold Jota, Aaron Moyes retired, we let Barkas go out for free, we sold Starfelt, Haksabanovic, Ajeti, Soro, those guys are gone. And this is the squad we've got, which does feel much more robust when you compare it to Rangers. It feels like we've got like 5 to every bloody position on the pitch, and we're so well covered in all the wide areas as well, and in central midfield in particular. Celtic this window really needed to lift the overall quality of the squad and try and lift it into that Champions League level. I do feel signings like the ones we made at the very end, like Bernardo, Palma, and I would maybe put Lager, BLK and Kwon into this bucket as well, where I just don't think they really do much to lift the overall standing of the squad when it comes to the Champions League. Now, I've got big hopes for Bernardo, but he really shouldn't be getting in this team ahead of Hatate, and if he's not going to get in this team ahead of Hatate or O'Reilly, then there's not that much to be excited about. If he doesn't give us something completely different to the midfield we've got already, I don't think there's that much to get excited about. Palma does seem to give us something very different from what information and what footage you can gather on him, but it's not really tested at that high a level, so I'm not too sure how excited we get about that. But the removal of Jota and Celtic's front three gives a totally different dynamic, because last year the front three was Jota and Kyogo were nailed on, and then the other position was like a fight every week between Dyson, Haxa, Abada, Forrest, Vata even as well towards the end. So that was just the way the squad dynamic went. Now, Jota leaving and not someone of that standing come in 100% makes the front line weaker. But I do feel that we're going to get, and we have been getting, a little bit more on the pitch, and maybe some more goals and assists are yet to come. But I do think that Kyogo, Abada and Maeda are really set to thrive, knowing they're in the best front three of the team. You know, they are the 3 first names in attack that will play for the big games, and together we're going to rely and we're going to build our routes to goal around finding them. So there's something to be said with that. And then building out with guys like Tilio, Yang, obviously Forrest and Vat are still at the club. We still have O. Feels like objectively on paper, that looks kind of fine. But I just know from looking at this, the level has dropped. Question is, Yang has been good. How good can he get? Tilio we've still not seen, and Palma nobody knows from Adam before 2 days ago. If Yang can continue the way he's been going, he'll probably be very good business for us. And if Tilio or Palma, if one of them can come close to being what Jota was for us, then potentially this has been very fantastic for what we've done in attack. We've got more numbers and potentially just better quality across like the breadth there. But the jury's very much out, and I do feel it's a very big gamble. In midfield for Celtic, it was all about getting some sort of solution in here to make sure we can get the most out of Captain Callum McGregor. We expect as time goes on, maybe in this window, we might have lost to Tate or O'Reilly. We've lost neither. But at some point, that day will come, and we want the opportunity to just get McGregor into one of these spots, because he can play these roles very well also, and he's our best player potentially, depending on what you're thinking about. I don't think anything we've seen from Kwon, Rodgers doesn't seem to like Iwata or doesn't want to use him anyway. McCarthy's still MIA, and Odenholm doesn't seem to be in this position either. So I don't think there's any solution came in this role here, but I do feel that the midfield, like, we've got plenty of bodies there. I'm not sure the overall quality has been up. We'll need to see what Bernardo gives. The early signs for home are really decent, but again, I don't think the job's been done. And in defence, there's been a massive overcompensation here because of the injuries we've got. I think it's 8 weeks in total. We're going to see Navroche and Carter Vickers missing. And also we had the Derby game there at the weekend. And this is the most important part of the season. It's the group stages of the Champions League, as well as everything that's going on domestically at the weekend. So Celtic need to have a quality defence going out for that 8 weeks. No two ways about it. And, do you know, for it being something they've had to react to, I think they've done pretty well. Lager Bielke was apparently a straight replacement for Starfelt in terms of the squad position, with Navroche being a signing that we'd earmarked to upgrade the defence, a left-footed centre-back that would really give us what we thought Yuki Kobayashi would have and hasn't. But then losing somebody like Vickers as well to injury. Welsh is injured. He's just been given a new contract. I think bringing Phillips in for a loan is a fantastic bit of business, and let's hope that he can really give that Liverpool level into the defence when we need him, because I don't know, the club really couldn't sign another centre-back, I don't think, at that point. If we're not letting Scales go to Aberdeen, we've extended Welsh, and then we've signed Lagerbielke, and we've signed Davroche. I don't think we could have signed another centre-back, so I think they've done pretty good to problem-solve this. But I do feel the problem-solving of Phillips for the injury and Lagerbielke for Starfelt has probably undermined maybe some of the work that was going into left-back here. And coming into this season where we're talking about Celtic lifting their level for Champions League, with no Ange Ball, we all suspected the left-back was going to be a huge area that Brendan would probably want to upgrade in. There's been no sign, not a peep, no movement there, and that's TBC. The club's taking a huge gamble on not getting more goalkeeper reinforcements. Joe Hart's in the last 12 months of his contract, and he basically won Celtic the derby for me. But I do feel that gambling on him for this group stages is a gamble that the club are taking. If we can get the Joe Hart that played the derby to play throughout the group stages, then for me it's a gamble worth taking, and I would have done the same thing. But there was no guarantee of that, you know. In this window we had the Jota money, there was all the group stage money there as well, and there was so many goalkeepers in the market that overall it does feel a reckless and unnecessary gamble to not take advantage of some of the goalkeeper movements that were going around in this window. Celtic sold 12 players for €34 million and signed 19 for €22 million, which is a net spend of 11 million gained. Now, I think Celtic have clearly won the numbers battle here against Rangers. Way more money slotted into the bank. I think overall, the business, in terms of numbers, speaks for itself. The squad depth at Celtic is much, much different to that of Rangers. But did Celtic get the job done this transfer market? Did they distinctively upgrade the team to bring it into Champions League level? Maybe they did. The jury's still out. Individually, I liked some of the ambition the Rangers showed with some of the purchases that they made, like going and signing a guy that's just won the league at Feyenoord, going and getting a guy that was meant to be the next big thing in England to be your goalkeeper. But the overall level of that team doesn't feel like it's improved. Celtic, on the other hand, have showed, for me, no ambition to go and get a stellar name as much as it can be, you know, someone that would make a real difference to the best team and really replace Jota and really help lift the team into that Champions League element. But they have completely covered every other base under the sun, and they've got so many irons in the fire now at that club that really I'm imagining being the coach, being the manager at Celtic right now and taking that team for training. It must be absolutely incredible. There's like 3 guys to every position of high quality, international caliber guys at youth and senior level. I don't think we can distinctively say that they've moved the team into that Champions League level, but with the amount of money that's going into the bank, I think it makes the next window or two very, very exciting, because there's no way we're going to have another window where we're going to bring in 6 positive signings, you know, 12 out, 19 in. The policy now feels much closer to 1 in, 1 out, and with the amount of money that's there and with the level of guys we've got around, it feels like hopefully maybe Celtic are set up for the next couple of windows to maybe achieve what I would have hoped they'd achieve in this window. And for Rangers, I feel like they've taken some gambles with their big money signings, and they really need to make sure that they come off. And with the form that Michael Beale has been in, that's maybe going to be a rocky season ahead for them. So I think Celtic have won the transfer window. And I've tried really hard to be impartial about that and demonstrate that to you. What I want to know from you in the comment section down below is, will Rangers qualify out of their Europa League group, and will Celtic qualify out of their Champions League group for any competition? On screen there now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.